Imagine being trapped in total darkness, with nothing but water drops and your own scared breathing around you. This is not a made-up story. This is what really happened to Floyd Collins, a cave explorer who got stuck underground and fought to stay alive while the whole world watched. Floyd Collins was close to making a discovery that would change his life. Deep inside Sand Cave in Kentucky, he worked through tight, claustrophobic tunnels. He had been moving rocks, gravel, and sand for weeks to find a hidden passage. Floyd was excited because he believed he had found something amazing, a new cave that could become a popular tourist spot. But in an instant, everything went wrong. What happened next was a 17-day struggle that caught the entire country's attention. This is the story of Floyd Collins, who faced a terrible situation deep inside the earth. Sand Cave was located in the Mammoth Cave region of central Kentucky, famous for its extensive underground cave systems. This cave was on B. Doyle's farm near Cave City, Kentucky, about 100 miles south of Louisville. Floyd Collins started exploring Sand Cave in early January 1925. The cave wasn't well known or mapped out like some of the more enormous caves in the area. It was mainly unexplored territory, which made it perfect for Floyd's ambitions. Instead of solid limestone like many Kentucky caves, it contained loose sand, gravel, and unstable rocks, giving it its name. Floyd's goal was evident in his mind. Since the early 1900s, cave tourism has become a profitable business in Kentucky. Mammoth Cave and other large caverns attract thousands of yearly visitors who pay good money to see the underground wonders. Floyd had already discovered Crystal Cave on his family's property in 1917, but its remote location didn't attract many tourists. He desperately wanted to find a cave closer to the main roads to attract more visitors. What Floyd didn't realize was how dangerous his passion would become. He had no way of knowing that this hobby, this ambition he had pursued most of his life, would ultimately lead to his danger. He couldn't have imagined that Sand Cave, with its unstable structure, would become his final resting place. Floyd had been digging and clearing a path through Sand Cave for weeks. The tunnel was extremely narrow, in some places only 16 inches high. He had to squeeze and crawl on his belly through the tight spaces. The passage twisted like a corkscrew as it went deeper underground. Floyd finally broke through to something exciting on that Friday morning in January. He found himself in a large open chamber after squeezing through a tight crack and sliding down an 8-foot drop. This was precisely what he had been looking for. Floyd decided to head back to the surface with low fuel for his gas lamp. As he made his way through the dark tunnel, disaster struck. He accidentally kicked a loose rock, triggering a collapse. The sound of falling rocks filled the narrow passage. When it stopped, Floyd was buried up to his chest in debris. A large boulder pinned his left leg to the ground. Both arms were trapped at his sides. Floyd was stuck entirely, 140 feet underground, in a passage barely more expansive than his shoulders. He screamed for help, but no one was around to hear him. The only sounds were water dripping from the ceiling and occasional bits of sand falling nearby. He was alone in complete darkness. Floyd knew no one would come looking for him right away. Saturday morning came. Jewel Estes, a teenage boy whose family owned the land, noticed Floyd's belongings still by the cave entrance. Concerned, he went into the cave and called out. To his relief, he heard Floyd's voice echo back, desperately asking for help. Jewel tried to reach Floyd, but stopped at what cavers call the turnaround room. Beyond this point was an extremely tight tunnel that Jewel couldn't enter. He immediately ran to get more help. Soon, Floyd's brothers arrived at the cave. Floyd's younger brother, Homer Collins, was small enough to fit through the tight spaces. He crawled through the 100-foot passage, inching forward on his stomach. When he finally reached his brother, what he saw broke his heart. Floyd was buried under rocks and debris up to his chest. Water constantly dripped onto his face from the ceiling. Homer brought Floyd coffee and sausage, which helped lift his spirits. For hours, Homer tried to dig Floyd out, but each time he removed a rock, more debris would fall. By Sunday morning, after working through the night, Homer was utterly exhausted and had to leave the cave to rest. Word about Floyd's situation spread quickly. Reporters arrived from nearby towns, eager to cover the story. One reporter, William Skeets Miller from the Louisville Courier-Journal, was small enough to squeeze through the passage to reach Floyd. Miller, weighing only 117 pounds, made several trips to visit Floyd. He brought food and water and interviewed Floyd about his situation. Miller's reports about Floyd's ordeal captivated people across the country. Soon, newspapers nationwide were following the story. Miller described in detail how Floyd remained hopeful despite his terrible situation. The narrow passage was lined with sharp, jagged rocks that cut into his skin. Yet through it all, Floyd maintained his spirits and believed he would be rescued. By Monday, February 2nd, Floyd had been trapped for 3 days. Rescue teams discussed different ways to free him. They tried using ropes and harnesses to pull him out. Lieutenant Robert Burton, a local firefighter, attempted this method, but it only caused Floyd more pain. The rock pinning his foot was stuck firmly in the cavern floor, making moving impossible. Floyd's longtime friend, Johnny Gerald, arrived at the cave on Monday night. Johnny was an experienced cave explorer who knew Floyd well. Determined to save his friend, Johnny squeezed through the narrow tunnel to reach Floyd. For 6 long hours, Johnny worked non-stop, trying to free Floyd. He chipped away at the rocks around Floyd's legs, filling buckets with debris and passing them back along the tunnel. Despite his hard work and determination, Johnny couldn't reach the central rock that trapped Floyd's foot. By Tuesday morning, Johnny was utterly exhausted and had to leave the cave. Floyd's condition was getting worse. He lay in a pool of cold, muddy water that sapped his body heat. He started having hallucinations, seeing angels and imagining he was in his bed at home. The constant drip of water on his face was driving him crazy. He begged rescuers to cover his face to stop the water. By Wednesday, February 4th, the rescue effort faced a new problem. A cave-in had blocked part of the narrow passage, making it even more dangerous to reach Floyd. Johnny Gerald tried to clear the debris but had to retreat when another collapse almost trapped him. The governor of Kentucky called in the National Guard to help. After considering all options, they decided to dig a vertical shaft straight down from the surface to reach Floyd's location. This would bypass the dangerous tunnel altogether. The digging began on Thursday, February 5th, but progress was slow and difficult. The equipment kept breaking down. Heavy rains made the ground unstable. The workers argued among themselves about the best approach. All these problems delayed the rescue operation. For 12 more days, people across the country followed the story closely. Reporters stayed at the site, sending updates whenever possible. There were occasional signs of hope. Rescuers could hear Floyd coughing, and they could see the faint glow of a light bulb they had placed around his neck. These signs told them Floyd was still alive. But on Friday, February 13th, the light bulb went out. The rescuers could no longer see any sign of life from Floyd's position. On Monday, February 16th, after 17 days of non-stop effort, the rescue team finally broke through to Floyd's location. What they found confirmed their worst fears. Floyd Collins was dead, his body still trapped in the narrow tunnel. The coroner determined that Floyd had survived for 14 days before dying from exposure to the cold and complete exhaustion. His story had captivated people's attention for over 2 weeks. Now, it has become a powerful reminder of the dangers of cave exploration and the limits of human endurance. Sand Cave, where he died, became a symbol of both hope and tragedy. After his body was recovered, Floyd Collins was buried near Crystal Cave, another cave he had explored and loved. Today, he is remembered as a pioneer of cave exploration who pushed the boundaries of what was possible. Floyd's story shows the risks people take when pursuing their dreams. It highlights the incredible resilience of the human spirit, even in the darkest and most hopeless situations. The tragedy also changed how people approached cave exploration. Safety measures became more critical. Cave rescuers developed new techniques and equipment to help people trapped underground. In this way, Floyd's death may have saved other lives in the following years. Today, caves in Kentucky and across America have strict safety regulations. Do you believe Floyd Collins' tragedy could have been prevented? Share your thoughts below. Share it with someone who loves incredible true stories of human resilience. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and help us keep these forgotten stories alive. Stay tuned for more.